Hello, everyone. Welcome to Refocus on Happiness. 5 steps to get your wife back by getting over her first. Who this is for? This is for husbands who want to get their wife back within 6 weeks without having to waste a ton of money or time on marriage counselors or other outdated strategies or band-aids. So, in the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to get over that past hurt and resentment and truly heal yourself within days. How to get your confidence back, how to regain financial security, how to reduce stress and get your health back on track, and how to get that energy to really push forward towards your goals and dreams, really to resurrect not just yourself, but your relationship with your wife. This is all about giving you that ability to, again, literally resurrect and reinvigorate your life. And the best way to do that is really to heal yourself in the past. You know, if you try to go in the future still with resentment, past hurt, feeling betrayed, lack of trust, that's a recipe for disaster. So my promise to you is to get you those 5 steps to get your wife back by getting over her first, or in other words, by healing yourself first. Because when you are truly healed, everything and anything is possible. See, the problem is right now, as you're trying to make your relationship work, when you're still holding on to the past and your emotions have gotten the better of you, it's very hard to really have a good, productive, truly loving conversation when in the back of your mind you're still not over, again, past hurts. So here's the thing. Rather than wait for your couples counselor who would tell you this could take months or even years, I can show you how to handle this once and for all in 6 weeks. And here's the thing. You essentially become your own practical psychologist, because once you know how to heal yourself, you have that skill, the skill of emotional resiliency. Guess what? You have that for the rest of your life. You become your own one-stop shop practical psychologist. So for the rest of your life, you can make sure that you are healed first. So in all of your relationships, you can go into it really where you can live and love fearlessly without holding on to the past. That is the ultimate gift. So, first, some house rules here. This practice, this conditioning of emotional resiliency, it takes real work. It is not a magic pill. You got to really want it. I'm going to teach you how to train your mind just like you would train your muscles. And you and I both know you can't sit on the couch eating potato chips all day and think that all of a sudden you're going to get a six-pack. Well, same thing for your mind. If you haven't trained your mind this way, don't think you're going to get a mental six-pack by just reading some books or YouTubing it. That's never going to work. You have to be at a point of, you know what, I've had it. This stops today. Not another day, not another hour. This changes now. You have to be fully committed to being consistent and persistent at this new way of thinking. Because again, no matter how great a workout plan is, there is no workout that creates incredible results unless you are consistent. Consistency is the key. So if you're indecisive and you're really not sure, well, this isn't going to work for you. You got to be fully committed to get the result. So does this sound like you? Have you been having problems for months or even years? Has this emotional issue been weighing you down and weighing your relationship down for months or even years, and there seems to be no end in sight? Do you find yourself in fights where after a while you don't even know what you're fighting about anymore? It's almost as if the emotions have just taken over, right? Are you afraid that with all the emotional turmoil you're dealing with, is this affecting your other relationships, your finances? Do you find that on a daily basis you're losing hours to stewing, anger, sadness, and it's just taking away from the quality of your life and your ability to work towards your dreams and goals? Now, here's another question for you guys. Do you secretly hope that you're going to magically stumble upon the book that has all the answers you're looking for? But this search has been going on for months or even years. If you're secretly thinking that maybe in the back of your mind you might find this magical YouTube video or magical book, it will never happen. The reason why you are still having this problem is because it's not about information. It's about implementation. I actually have many counselors and therapists, funny enough, that come to me to help them. I today had an NLP master practitioner who has a degree in psychology, who's having his own issues. This isn't about intellect. It's about implementing. I don't care how much information you have. If it's been months or years and you're still having the same issues, your information isn't doing you any good. So if you're secretly hoping that you're going to stumble upon this magical book, good luck with that, but it hasn't worked till now. So it might just be time to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to try something a little different here. So also, does this sound like you? Are your well-meaning friends and family draining the hell out of you as well as themselves with endless advice and counseling? Now, here's the thing too. Are you even getting your advice from the right people? I mean, these people are not experts. They have their own relationship issues. Many of them might not even be in a relationship. Or how about this? What if you're getting advice from someone who's never had the same type of challenges you're having? Is that really the best person to get advice from? You've got to work with someone who is an absolute expert in their area. They have that significant track record where they can get people to an outcome, also very important, in a very specific amount of time. The reason why I love what I do is because I'm probably the only one who's going to speak to you guys and say, hey, we can get this handled in 6 weeks. You go to a classic therapist or counselor, who knows how long they're going to tell you, months, years, oh, it takes time. Doesn't have to be that way. So while you're dealing in pain and frustration, are you trying to keep busy? But deep inside, you secretly know that solves nothing. And is it getting to the point in your relationship where you're thinking, you know what? It's getting worse and worse and worse. They're pulling further and further away. And maybe, just maybe, I'm going to find myself alone again. And are you starting to feel like, wow, you know what? I just can't seem to stop this almost like slow motion, falling down where you can almost see your face heading towards a concrete slab. When you hit your face on that concrete slab, it's going to hurt. And are you starting to feel like you're almost destined to be alone forever? Let's end that, okay? Because if for you it sounds like there has been no end in sight to this emotional Groundhog Day of pain you've been living in, it doesn't have to be this way. Brain science proves without a shadow of a doubt you can train your brain for emotional resiliency. In other words, you can condition your mind so that when you feel emotion, that refractory period to get back to feeling good again, fucking great again, can happen very, very quickly. And when you're feeling good, when you're feeling energized, when you're feeling healed, you're literally bringing a new version of you to the conversation. You have literally given yourself a biological upgrade. You could really call it you 5.0. So if you're really looking to end that emotional Groundhog Day, you're in the right place. The real problem is this: you have not made the shifts, because once you make them, you will wake up feeling excited for the day, because perhaps for the first time in your life, you'll know you are in charge of how you feel. It's not dependent on the external world. It's not dependent on any particular person. You're in control of that. You have the skill. You have a process you can do each day. Now, granted, some days you're not going to wake up and feel on top of the world, but you'll have a process, a practice that within 30 minutes, you're right as rain. So you're going to wake up feeling excited for the day, and you're going to stop feeling dread, because right now, when you're waking up and you're dealing with the relationship issues, it puts everything else to a screeching halt. It puts your finances on hold. It puts your business, your other ambitions on hold. It puts other relationships on hold, because you're spending so much time and energy focusing on this relationship that is just going down the tubes. So instead of feeling like the whole world collapsing down upon you, like bills, for example, you're going to start to love the fact that you have disposable income, no debts, because you're killing it, because you have that energy. You're not being sucked dry in a relationship that you just can't seem to fix. And you'll start to look forward to life again, knowing you have true control of your emotions and true control of your relationships. A wise man once said, when you master your emotions, you master life. See, the problem with a lot of the counselors and therapists out there, they're just giving you Band-Aids. They're trying to get you to will yourself to be someone you're not. They're trying to get you to compromise. They're trying to get you away from your authentic self. But here's the problem. That can work for a little while, but one day when your emotions start to really get the better of you, it's not going to be very easy for you to will yourself to do those things anymore. What I'm going to show you is how to fix that at the core. Because when you're strong on the inside, it's very easy to be strong on the outside. Or in other words, another way I'm trying to tell you here is, this is one thing: you can't fake it till you make it. Eventually, the old you will peer through. And if that old you is still hurt, resentful, can't get over the past, hasn't truly healed himself, your confidence is shattered, I don't care how much you try these Band-Aids and quick fixes and willing yourself, you will eventually fail. Just like a lot of the world today. You could have high blood pressure and your doctor gives you high blood pressure medication. That's not a disease. High blood pressure is a symptom of a more underlying problem. Here, I'm going to show you how to really get to the root and teach you how to become a master of your emotional states. And once you make them, you'll have more energy to make great memories of your kids instead of being tense and agitated the whole time. You're going to be able to be present to life, and you'll be able to finally release and stop thinking about all the stresses in your life. And here's the truth. You might have future challenges in your life, but you will become your own one-stop shop, because never again will you be paralyzed by fear, doubt, your emotions, because you will have that skill to be the one who's in charge of how you feel. Again, it will no longer be dependent on the external world around you. And you're going to enjoy recording your wife. No matter what hurts you feel from the past, you're going to actually enjoy the fact that this is an opportunity for you to win her back over again. And you'll be able to release from any of the past stuff that you want to get over but just don't know how to. It's almost like you're again starting like the whole recording process again, which is a very beautiful thing. Now let's talk about the other big problem, and this is massive. And at this point, by the way, you're going to want to take out a pen and paper. I'm going to have you do some writing here. If you don't do this work, then that's part of the problem. If you're not willing to sit here and focus, and by the way, if you're texting on your phone or you're multitasking, do yourself a big favor. Why don't you just give yourself the gift of loving yourself enough to focus on something to change your life, okay? So get out that pen and paper, because I'm going to have you write a few things down. This is going to give you a chance to really look in front of the mirror and be honest with yourself about your current state of affairs, a State of the Union address to yourself, of course. So here's the other big problem. You haven't quantified your why. You haven't decided that today is it. You're not going to go another day, another hour. This is it. And for you to do that, you have to quantify your why. It can't just be, I don't feel good, or I'm spending a lot of time thinking about things. That's not compelling. You have to realize really what's at stake. You need to become crystal clear on why this is a problem. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about who I am. Since 2012, I've been the coaching and operations director for one of the most well-known dating sciences companies in the world. Individually, I have personally coached one-on-one over 1,000 men and women since that period of time. And my company as a whole has impacted, I kid you not, over 1 million men and women. If you're familiar with who we are and what we do and some of my coaching staff, you would know that that is not an exaggeration. So what I'm essentially telling you is I've really heard it all. There's nothing you're going to be able to tell me about your current situation, what you're dealing with, that I haven't heard before in some shape or form. So I'm bringing to you literally the tools to get yourself out of pain, back into power. And let me make this clear. I know exactly what it's like to be you because I was you. That is ultimately why you and I are having this conversation today. So let's talk about discovering the 5 shifts, okay? There are 5 key shifts you need to make if you want to take control of the 2 most valuable resources in your life. Now you have a pen and paper, right? Write this down. Those 2 most valuable resources are energy and emotional states. If you're able to live in the resourceful emotions of love, joy, happiness, gratitude, 80-90% of every day, regardless of what happens, and your energy's high, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what stresses you're dealing with, you are the big winner of life. So I'm going to walk you through all 5 shifts on this session. So here comes the first shift, okay? Being happy is a skill. If you are right now dealing with immense pain, that is because you haven't trained your brain for this skill. The thing is, there's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you you're going to be happy when you accomplish your goals. That is not true. The truth is, no matter what you're going through today, every day has the potential to be the best day of your life. The problem is this: most people are oblivious to this power, and hence they're unable to free themselves from their emotional prison. All right, you guys ready for another group exercise? So take out that pen and paper. What I want you to write down is, what negative thoughts have hijacked your brain? When you think about how not good you're feeling on a daily basis, there are some thoughts behind that. What are you thinking? Do you think you're not good enough? Have you been told that relationships are too difficult, or men are bad, or women are bad, or what kind of negative programming, what kind of negative thoughts are you telling yourself day in and day out? Are you not good enough? What is it? Write that down, because it is that is ultimately the core of where the issue is. This is the programming that needs to be rewired, because brain cells that fire together wire together. So what negative thoughts have hijacked your brain? Write them down now. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. You can always come back to this later, but I really want you to do this activity, because this is going to help you understand why you're talking to me today. Now, as we start to close up on the benefits of learning the skill of happiness, let me be clear. It's not about being happy 100% of the time. That's impossible. You're a human being. You are going to feel the wide range of emotions, but the difference is you're going to learn how to refocus yourself to the more resourceful states 80 to 90% of the time. So it's not about being happy 100% of the time, but what if I could get you where you're feeling freaking amazing 80 to 90% of the day, every day, regardless of what happens or doesn't happen? How would that change your life? Now, when you think about this here, in your life right now, while you're not so happy, how's that affecting your job? Are you getting looked over for promotions? Are you on the verge of getting fired, perhaps? Have you had to take a leave of absence? That's because you're in an unresourceful state, because you don't have your thoughts in check. You don't have a process to rewire yourself from that unresourceful thinking to your power, okay? So what if you could feel incredible 80% of the time every day? How would that impact your life? How would that impact your health and wealth, your relationships with your family and your friends? And what would that be worth to you each day, okay? So shift 2 is not letting your brain fall asleep at the wheel, okay? Now, when you're first listening to me here, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what's this guy talking about? I'm talking about literally not letting your brain fall asleep at the wheel, realizing when you're not in the command of your own command center. The thing is, there's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you that time heals all wounds. That is total BS. The truth is, the reality is, it's not that time heals all wounds. It's that time heals an untrained brain. Because here's the thing, for most people, when they go through an emotional breakup, they spend an incredible amount of time in their head trying to figure out what went wrong, or engaged in draining as hell conversations that solve nothing. And what happens is, after these hour, 2 long, 3 hour long, dramatic conversations, maybe after all that, maybe that person internalizes maybe 0.5% of the lesson. So the illusion, if we're talking 0.5% each day, the illusion is it took 200 days to heal. But the reality is it took 200 days for your untrained brain to get the lesson. The reality is it took a long time to process those draining as hell conversations. And the truth is, getting over your ex doesn't have to be a slow and painful process. You can train your brain to accelerate the process to get the lesson that it's really over, so you can finally move on. Now, we're going to talk about some more very basic examples so you can really see how much this has really impacted your life in a very real way. So let me give you an example here. Have you ever had an experience where you're driving and someone cut you off on the road? And when they cut you off the road, you're like, wow, what a piece of, or what an inconsiderate, oh my God, I can't believe you almost did that. Whatever it is you're thinking here, probably something very negative. And all of a sudden you can feel that anger, that frustration. The problem is this. For many people, after that person leaves the road, where they're not even on the road anymore, that person who cut you off before, a lot of people still find themselves angry. And think how crazy it is. You're angry at someone who isn't even in front of you anymore, someone that you couldn't even confront even if you wanted to, right? So if you're still angry at someone who doesn't care about you, and you're angry at someone who you can't even confront, doesn't that sound kind of crazy? But it's not. It's actually you on autopilot. It's you living that same cycle of angry thoughts, angry feelings, right? Now watch this. I'm going to show you the difference between being on autopilot and taking back control of your command center. Now, if you live in Miami where I live, this happens all the time, right? It would be very easy to be angry all the time on the road if you allow that to be the case. But watch this. What if 30 minutes before that last time that guy cut you off on the road, which got you really mad, what if right before that happened, What if you found out you won $1 million tax-free and then they cut you off? Do you think you'd give a crap about them anymore? You might even find yourself helping them to cut in front of you. You might even slow down so they can, go wherever they need to go. You'd probably be so happy you wouldn't even care. Now watch this difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2. It's actually the same thing. It's still the same stimulus. It's still the same situation. The only difference is I've simply introduced a thought into your brain. And that thought, by creating this awareness or this thought in your brain, now you've retaken back control of your body. Now your brain is in control of your ship because the stimulus is exactly the same. So if you know the difference between scenario 1, where you just get angry and you're stewing even though the person isn't even in front of you anymore, versus when I simply introduce a thought, and now that thought alone causes you to stay happy, you now know the difference between falling asleep at the wheel and being in command of your own command center. So here's another truth. If you've taken months or even years to get over a breakup, you are not in command of your ship. If you're still thinking about things that happened 6 months, 6 years ago that are way in the past, saying, wow, I wonder if I had done this. I wonder if I had done that. That is you on autopilot. Because think about it, that's crazy. You can't go back in time. For you to think about that and beat yourself up and get angry about something that happened 6 months or 6 years ago, that's crazy. But that's okay because you haven't been taught this awareness before. But that is you on autopilot. So here's my question for you. Again, you need to be very clear about what this is costing you. While you've been reviewing those scenarios from 6 months or 6 years ago, or what if, or can't believe they did that to me, whatever it is, on autopilot, how much time and money did you lose this week stewing in anger, rehearsing and obsessing over those negative thoughts and emotions? Write that down. So another group exercise here, okay? Any of that, if you review your last week and you think about how much time you spent being angry, sad, or fearful because you're thinking, because remember, you're now becoming aware of your thoughts. You've been thinking about things that happened a long time ago and you've been on autopilot, right? I want you to think about how much, again, specific time you lost. So how many hours this week did you lose on autopilot? Thinking angry thoughts, angry feelings, in sadness, in fear. And what did this cost you financially, socially? You're not going out, you're not going on any dates, you're not spending time with your friends, or your friends not even want to spend time with you anymore because you just want to keep talking about the same scenarios. What is this costing you? Is it starting to have a really big impact on your health because you're just sitting there in those emotions of stress that are created by being on autopilot mode, by not being in control of your thoughts? And again, what is going to happen over the next 30 to 60 days if you don't do something about it? So here's the thing. Most people are asleep at the wheel and live their life on autopilot. Most people are in that vicious cycle, the same angry thoughts, same angry feelings. They're living in autopilot, oblivious to their power. And it is time for you to wake the hell up and realize that you know Kung Fu. I don't know if you recognize where this reference is coming from, but you are Neo, essentially, or Trinity. Don't forget how powerful you are. Don't allow yourself to go on autopilot and think that these thoughts you're having, that you can't do anything about it. You absolutely can. You don't have to get angry at the person who cuts you off on the road and stay there for hours on end or review scenarios that happened from 6 months or 6 years ago. That's you forgetting how powerful you are. Because we really do live in the matrix of emotions. So now you have a choice. You can either let the matrix or the emotional prison of the emotions of stress run you, or, and this is a way better or, by the way, you can run the matrix and live in a resourceful state of joy and happiness. You can let the body be the master and live on autopilot, oblivious to your power, or you can retake control of your mind and start bending and breaking the rules of what is possible. Now, just to come back full circle for a little bit here, remember, if you're looking to get over your ex, your power is in your energy. And if you're now recognizing how much time you're spending on autopilot, being angry, sad, and fearful, that's not helping you move forward. You need to become aware of this autopilot state that you've been in, because that's what's going to help you move forward. That is why you need to master this if you really want to move forward. Understand? So that is what needs to happen. So quick recap. Being happy is a skill. You can learn that skill. Right now, your thoughts are muck. You're just letting yourself go on autopilot, and you need to learn not to let your brain fall asleep at the wheel. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the final 3 shifts, or what I like to refer to as the 3 pillars. Remember, this is all about getting over your ex. So pillar 1, remember, people are attracted to those that are making things happen, right? Are you attracted to someone who just sits around moping all day, or is barely getting by in their business or work or job? No. You're attracted to people who are making things happen. So you need to learn shift number 3, or pillar number 1, the skill to inspire yourself every day, regardless of what happens. So here's the problem. There are conventional wisdoms out there that they tell you need to hope for inspiring moments, but that is complete BS. And I'm going to prove it to you. Have you ever found yourself about to go to sleep, but then out of nowhere, you have a thought that truly inspires you, and all of a sudden energy is just coursing through your veins, and you're like ready to work all night? Have you ever had an experience like that before? Has this ever happened to you? Here's my question. When that happened to you, where did that energy come from? Did it come from food? Did you eat something that night? Did it come from coffee? No. Did it come from doing a line of Coke in the parking lot? That's a joke, by the way. No. It came from thought and thought alone. It didn't come from some otherworldly source. It came from you. The problem is you've been taught that these are random events, but you can actually train your brain. You can wire and fire new sequences so your brain is wired for inspiration. And remember, an inspiring person is an attractive person. Understand? So it is in your best interest to get yourself back out there and make things happen for yourself, and to understand that inspiration is indeed a skill. It is not something you hope for, okay? So I'll give you an example of this here, just to show you how you could, in theory, be inspired immediately, regardless of any kind of random acts of God, okay? So imagine tonight you had a lunch with Warren Buffett, right? Or not tonight, but tomorrow or whatever. You had a lunch with Warren Buffett. And he shared with you, because you're having lunch with him, a strategy that would allow you to make $1 million in 1 week. And when you heard it, you're like, wow, that's going to work. You just knew it. But it would require you to only sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. But again, you knew it would work. Do you think you'd find, quote unquote, the inspiration or motivation to stay up and only sleep 3 to 4 hours a night for the next 7 days? Hell yeah, you would, if you knew it would work. So inspiration comes from you. The problem is you haven't learned this skill. You haven't wired into your brain. But make no mistake, that is a skill you can learn, just like happiness. And people are attracted to those that are inspired and make things happen. Okay. Now we're going to move on. We're going to move kind of quickly here from this point, because these things are really, I'm changing your paradigm as far as what is possible. I'm also destroying conventional myths that you've heard for a long time that, quite frankly, aren't serving you. Now, this one is really key for a lot of people, especially if you notice the last several years, you keep repeating the same patterns. I speak to people all the time that recognize their relationships are like, again, on Groundhog Day. They're on their 4th breakup. It keeps happening the same way. They keep having the same problems. That's because they haven't mastered the most important communication skill, which is the communication you have with yourself. That is the communication you must master if you want to master life, period. Because if you aren't strong on the inside, you can't be strong on the outside. That's the bottom line. Most people communicate weakly with others because on the inside, they don't really believe in themselves. Because on the inside, their communication themselves is weak. Okay? So there's a conventional wisdom out there. They'll tell you to work on your communication skills with other people. Now, that's great. My company actually does a lot of that, which is fine. It's a good skill to learn for sure. But make no mistake, that is not going to solve the real underlying issue in your life. If you think over the last 6 months as you dealt with a breakup with your ex, you probably said or did a few things you probably know you should not have done or said, and you know it. So take a second here. I want you to write down 2 or 3 things that you said or did with your ex that after you did it, you already knew you went in the wrong direction. Write that down right now, because that is the proof that your communication within yourself is weak, because the Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie of you never would have said or did what you did. So that conventional wisdom, you need to work on your external communication skills. That's not going to solve the real underlying issues. that will not hold a candle to masterful communication with oneself. The communication you have with yourself is the most important communication you will ever have, you will ever learn, period. How you communicate with yourself is the real determining factor on how well you communicate with others, period. And guess what? Remember, we're talking about attracting people in your life or re-attracting your ex, whatever it is you're looking for. But people are attracted to those people who are truly strong on the inside, those people that know themselves, those people that are unshakable. And if you've noticed for the last several months, years, or whatever, you have not communicated in alignment with this strong self that you know you could be, that's because on the inside, you are weak. And it's just the truth. So that needs to be addressed immediately. Otherwise, you can look forward to more of the same over the next several months or years. Okay? Now, here's an important concept, by the way. This type of skill is not to be learned from a book or video. If you've been trying to learn from books or videos for months or years, that's also why you're here as well, because you haven't gone about things the right way. We're going to talk about that one in a little bit, but you need to start thinking of yourself as a pro athlete in a sport of life. And guess what? Pro athletes don't go to the local tennis pro if they want to come home with a Wimbledon trophy. And if that's how you've been going about things, well, that's why you're not winning in the level that you want to win. That's just the bottom line. So the conventional wisdom that people tell you to work on your communication skills with others, that's just not going to solve it. So here's a few questions for you. Does your life demonstrate a true belief in yourself? Are you taking the real actions of someone who's betting on you? Do you invest in yourself? Remember, you're trying to attract a new partner or maybe the old one. I don't know. That's up to you. But being a successful risk taker is a very attractive quality. If people aren't stupid, if people see that you're not the kind of person who invests in you, real investments, not buying another freaking book. But if they don't see you're the kind of person that invests in yourself, that's why they don't want to invest in you. Why would anyone invest in you if you won't invest in you? Okay? So do your actions demonstrate yourself as someone who's truly strong on the inside, someone who walks the walk? So here's another group exercise for you. Ready? I'm going to do this one kind of quickly because we're running a little short on time. But what have you recently said to your ex that you instantly regretted? Write that one down. Once you come up with that, that is already showing you where there's some real inner work to be done. Another question. What actions have you taken that have resulted from weakness? What have you done that you know you shouldn't have done? Okay? And for how long have you been experiencing these communication issues with others due to fear, insecurity, anger, sadness? Have you noticed there's certain patterns you keep repeating with your communication with others? And here's another question for you, a very big one. When would it be a good time to address this issue? How about now? Does now sound like a good time to get some new tools and go about things a new way? Because your old way is not working. So now we're at the final shift, or pillar 3. You now have all this energy, right? You learned the skill of inspiration. You learned the skill of happiness. You're in these great resourceful states. You also learned how to become aware when you're going on autopilot, right? So you can retake back control of your ship. You're learning all these like incredible skills, that also including the internal communication skills that you can master, so you can master life and master communications with others. So you have all this energy, all these skills. Probably makes sense. The last thing you probably want to do at this point is allow people to take energy from you. Now, I'm not going to go too far in detail here, but a lot of people like to refer to these as energy stealers or energy vampires. This is a very real thing. You know, learning how to protect yourself from that is a system you're going to want to have in place, because you're doing all this work. Why would you want that to get stolen from you? So I'm just going to hit on one kind of quickly here, because for most people, they're going to want to work on the other pillars first, but I do want to definitely touch on this here. If you're explaining yourself to other people, especially people that really don't even have the advice to give you, they're people that themselves are having issues, right? If you're talking to friends of yours that have their own relationship issues and you're wasting your time getting advice from them or allowing them to give you advice, that is an energy drain. Why would you waste any energy listening to someone who has no idea what the hell they're talking about? And again, there's a lot of this stuff, but you need to have this mastered. You have to have a system in place to keep energy drains and energy vampires from sucking the life from you. Now, there's a conventional wisdom out there. Notice all these conventional wisdoms don't serve you. There's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you you need to take care of others before taking care of yourself. But that is complete BS. And not only is it complete crap, but it's destroying your health. You must defend yourself from anyone who's trying to suck energy from you, even if they mean well. Think about it. If you're on a plane and you're about to take off, what do they tell you? They tell you if the air pressure drops and the gas masks fall, who do you put the mask on first? You put on yourself, because if you can't help yourself, you can't help others. If you don't have energy for yourself, you can't really help others. So make it your new decision that you're going to take care of yourself before you take care of other people. If you invest in yourself and give yourself the energy to move forward, you're going to have that much more to give others. Energy is life. If you have no energy, you're dead to create your dreams. You need to protect this, and you need to have a system to make sure that you have as much as you can to move forward. Remember, what is attractive to people? Energy, good attitude, resourcefulness, happiness, good communication. Every pillar that we have spoke about today is all about making yourself attractive, making yourself feel good, giving you energy to move forward, and make your dreams happen. This is the foundation for everything you're looking for. If you've been reading books, watching videos for a long time, thinking that's going to be your answer, you have another thing coming to you. The top performers in the world work with other top performers. They're not reading and watching their way to Wimbledon. Here's the thing. Books and videos don't talk back to you. They don't. So how do you know if you're implementing the strategies and techniques in the way the author meant? I mean, it's only when the person's right in front of you they could say, hey, Jennifer, John, no, actually, this is what I meant. You don't have that. That's why you've been spinning your wheels for a long time. Not to mention, you can't see yourself the way the world sees you. You know, a mentor can actually take one look at you and actually give you that course correction very, very quickly. Think about it this way. Remember, think of yourself as a professional in sport of life. If you were a professional tennis player, it doesn't matter how many videos on tennis you watch. You think you can watch your way to Wimbledon? It doesn't matter how many books you read on mechanics and psychology. Dude, that's not going to hold a candle to actually work on a court with Andre Agassi, someone who's proven to get to the big show. When that person's in front of you, they could show you things in a matter of 30 seconds that you would never get from a book. For example, they could say, hey, Jim, Jennifer, I know exactly why you've never amounted to anything in tennis. Look at the way you're holding your grip. You probably would have never noticed this, but your grip is just 2 millimeters off. And with the way you're finishing your swing, you're finishing at 1 inch over your shoulders, but you need to finish it 2 inches over your shoulders. You can't see yourself the way the world sees you. You need a feedback mechanism. Think about it. Step in my common sense corner here. That's not the way the top performers in the world go about it. And if you're living in mediocrity, that's because you've been using mediocre solutions. So stop trying to read or watch your way to success. It will never happen. Books and videos don't offer the feedback mechanism that you need. The top performers, the top athletes, they're not reading, watching their ways to the big show. Only a true professional who has exactly, and by the way, let me be clear what a mentor is. A mentor is not someone who dabbles or someone who's kind of gotten like little bits of here and there. Like for example, if you're trying to create a business, like a social media marketing business, a mentor is not someone who's making $10,000 a month. That's not a real mentor. A real mentor is someone who's absolutely crushing it at the level you want to be at. Because the myth is to go from A to Z, you got to go from A to B to C to D to E to F. That's not true. You can go from A to Z in a rocket ship if you have the right mentor. So the right mentor in this case would be someone who has their own social media marketing company, and they're making tens of millions a year. They're crushing it. They're exactly where you want to be at the highest level. That's a real mentor. And if you're not doing that for yourself, well, quite simply put, that's also part of the reason why you're repeating these patterns. It's just not attractive. People are not attracted to those that don't invest in themselves. You know, you got to believe in yourself. You got to walk the walk. So forget everything else here that I've been telling you on why you're going to want to do everything I'm telling you here. But even just look at this one. If you've been just going about things in a kind of a half-baked sort of way for most of your life, that's why you've been living in mediocrity. And it's just the truth. So you need to get a mentor if you really want to knock this life out of the ballpark. The best mentors have already taken the courses you already need at the highest level. And you've also learned why these conventional wisdoms and the advice you've been given quite simply isn't working. I busted a ton of conventional wisdoms that quite frankly aren't serving you, and why you need to start thinking to yourself and acting as a professional athlete in the sport of life, okay? And I introduced you to daily practice via the 5 shifts that can energize you on command every day, even right now, even if you are right now living the emotional Groundhog Day of pain. So here's what you need to win. You need to learn the skill to make yourself happy. It is a skill, and it all starts with your thoughts. You need to learn the awareness of when your brain falls asleep at the wheel. You need to learn how to use the 3 pillars. Now, one of the main pillars there, again, that internal communication, that cannot be learned from a freaking book. Don't even try it. And again, if you've been dealing with this kind of crap and pain for years now, you go back to that same process, that same, I'm just going to read another book. Well, you'll be speaking to me in a few years after some more pain. And that's okay. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But you need to learn how to use those 3 pillars, and they simply can't be taught without a mentor. You need to learn the skill to inspire yourself every day, regardless of what happens. You need to learn how to communicate yourself, because that is a skill you must master if you want to master life. And you must learn the system to protect yourself from energy stealers, no matter how guilty they try to make you feel. So you have a choice. You can either let the matrix or the emotional prison of the emotions of stress run you, or you can run the matrix and live in a resourceful state of joy and happiness. That's up to you. So here's how I can help. I have a skill or a system that you will not find anywhere. It is the best of the best that's out there. It includes my experience working in one of the most well-known dating science companies in the world. It's just quite simply put, if you really want to get over an ex and move forward, this is it. Okay, so here's how I can help. I have set aside some time over the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these practices in your life starting today. Whatever your biggest challenges are, I promise you, I have seen it, I have heard it before. And on this session, I'm going to help you craft a step-by-step game plan to get out of that emotional Groundhog Day of pain and take back control of your life. Now, the cost of this is absolutely free, but I am going to require a few things from you, and we're going to talk about this here. So this is who this is for. If this isn't you, don't make the call, don't make the appointment. This is for anyone who's tired of living in the emotions of anger and fear without an end in sight. This is for anyone who realizes how much this is costing them financially, spiritually, and socially. This is for anyone willing to take decisive action now. If your idea of a decisive action is reading another book, this call is definitely not for you, okay? So this is for anyone who's willing to show up and do the work. Think of this like a workout for your brain. The best personal trainer in the world can't just give you a workout and say, hey, here you go. They got to actually take you through the process. They'll take you to the gym, show you the exercises. It takes work. It takes discipline. You've got to be willing to do it. And this is for anyone who's tired of blaming and making excuses and is ready to take ownership of their life. If you're still blaming your ex, and when I speak to you, I'll prove this to you here, I guarantee you had an equal part of this pain you are currently living through. It is not their fault. It is just as much your fault. So if you're tired of blaming and making excuses and ready to take ownership of your life, well, let's have a conversation. So if this is you, here you go. The URL you're going to want to go to is www.refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Spaces are limited, so you're going to want to do this ASAP. Again, refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Okay, so a couple last things here. After you select a time slot that is available, it is then going to prompt you to a form. I need that form. That form is what allows me to prepare for our call. If I don't have that form, I can't do the call. So make sure you fill out that form, okay? Very, very, very important. This way, I'm considerate and respectful of your time, because I don't want to spend that time asking questions that you could have answered for me. And again, I'm not going to spend an hour with you. It's a half an hour phone call. So let's make the most of it. Fill out that form. Once you've submitted that, then we can have our conversation, okay? So very last time here, refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Thank you for showing up today. Hopefully this resonates with you, and hopefully we will be speaking soon enough. Have a great day.